2025 meeting of the North Topsail Beach Board of Aldermen to order. Want to first address that we have two vacancies here today. The mayor is absent and Alderman Plettle is absent, but we still do have, for the record, a quorum. With that, I'd like for Alderman Benson to lead us in the invocation.
Please stand. Bless this town and may it remain a beautiful and friendly place to live. We pray that this board makes fair and informed decisions this morning. We also pray that our police officers, firefighters, and members of our armed forces here and around the world remain safe as they risk so much for our security. We also pray that our town be spared the ravages of hurricanes and other natural disasters, and that everyone associated with the town remains safe and secure. And also keep the families of McDermott's and the Plettles on your mind, and pray for them as they go through recovery from various medical issues. And this we pray, amen.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up is approval of the agenda. Got two changes to the consent agenda that I'd like to propose as we go through. First of those is to add to the May 7th regular board meeting minutes a copy of the slide presentation on the trip to Washington that was presented. I'd like to add the hard copy of the slides to that. And the second is to consent agenda item E, the WB Brawley Construction Change Directive 01. We received an updated change yesterday afternoon, and we need to substitute the new change for the old change. So with that, did I say E? Even though you circled F, okay. Item F. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Another question?
Discussion?
Yeah, just a question. So on F then, it's still going to stay on the consent agenda, or you're pulling it out of the consent agenda into?
Pulling it out and placing it under new business.
Okay, that was my question.
And then we would pull out the minutes and put them under continuing?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't let me forget that.
So moved.
Second?
I made the motion.
We changed the
We
motion.
changed the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's passed unanimously. Okay. That brings us to the manager's report.
Yes. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Beach projects and operations, potential tropical cyclone 8, which we commonly refer to as PTC 8. Work is paused for the season effective May 2nd. The project continues to move through the process with FEMA for potential obligation of funds. I reported at the last meeting that FEMA had recently submitted a list of engineering-based related questions on their submittal that Fran was working on. As Fran was completing those responses and wrapping that up, they amended one question on that request for information, so additional work had to be completed on his end. We will attempt once again to respond to and submit the full responses to the request for information this week. Cost share project for beach plantings. Cost share project with coastal transplants for sea oats in Bitter Panikin is in progress. That's the project I reported on in April. Information can be obtained on our website under the project page. June 13th is the last delivery date for the project, so anyone that has not signed up for the project, this is the last opportunity to do so. So please make sure if you're interested. Again, it's a 50-50% 50/50 cost share with the town, so you get plants half of the price for residents. So it's a good program. When I checked in with the vendor yesterday, we had little over 19,000 plants that were installed. So the program is proving to be successful again. The Topsail Island Vitex Eradication Project. The Town of Topsail Beach Board of Commissioners approved a resolution of intent to award the contract to Michael Baker International at their meeting, which was held on May 15th. The resolution was sent to the DEQ to confirm we are in compliance with the grant and to move forward with executing a contract. On May 27th, we received approval to move forward and had an initial meeting with the contractor on Monday, June 2nd this week. Contract is pending. That will be distributed once we have it put together to each town's attorney for review prior to any work starting. I prepared a letter that was mailed on Monday afternoon to all property owners who have not signed the online form that we established for them to fill out and return. We expect treatments to begin this summer at some point and expected to continue until September of this year. Turtle Talks. Turtle Talks resumed at Town Hall this week on Tuesday. The Karen Beasley Rescue and Rehab Center will be at Town Hall throughout the summer each Tuesday at 9 a.m. Here in the boardroom meeting. This is a free event open to the public to learn about sea turtles and their habitat. And since Connie is not here, I know she would make it a point to say that North Topsail Beach had the first 2 nests of the season. So yay, North Topsail Beach.
Not that we're counting.
Not that we're counting, yes. Beach crossovers. Crossover work has been in progress. Contractor has been working this week on BA 40, which I believe has been completed yesterday, and as well as the Marina Way crossovers that are ongoing. BA 40 will be completed this week, as I mentioned, and Marina Way is scheduled to be completed, if not at the end of this week, on Monday at the latest. Beach operations, we have 3 beach ambassadors who have started for the season, and they'll be on beach patrol throughout the season to educate beach patrons on filling in holes, the importance of removing personal property items, because we have an ordinance that goes into effect that we have another staff member now that has come on board as well that removes that personal property at the end of the evening. So it's important that people remember to remove their items so that they don't get taken away. We've also published notices, deployed the VMS board, added to the town sign, cautioning people to remove the personal property items daily. I can't stress that enough, and that's a education that keeps going on each week, because as we have a new group of people that come in each week, we have to start the education all over again. Ocean City Jazz Festival. I, along with our staff, met on Monday with Carla and Craig Torrey to discuss logistics for the upcoming Ocean City Jazz Festival, scheduled July 4th through July 6th on North Topsail Beach. Check out their website for event details and to get tickets, oceancityjazzfest.com. The 2025 hurricane season outlook, reminder, June 1st marked the official start of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. Onslow County has rolled out a new emergency alert system. If you have not seen the notices that we put out, Regroup, which has officially replaced the Code Red system. If you've not already done so, please take a moment to sign up today to stay informed. That's how we relate any information regarding storm, severe weather, or any other public safety issues. So please sign up for that today. You can text Join NTB Alerts to 31002. This information is also on our website. It's also been added to the town hall sign, and we started public outreach in May and will continue to do so as we move through the season. A reminder also for residents to either go online or stop here at Town Hall to obtain a reentry pass if you have not already have one. If you have a reentry pass that was issued after 2020, those passes are still valid through the end of 2025, so you don't need to submit an application for a new one, but if you don't have one, please make sure that you get one. I reached out to our community partners once again to organize another hurricane forum, and we'll be announcing that date soon. Our debris and monitoring contracts continue to be in effect for this year, and I've touched base with them for the season already. I'll be scheduling another meeting with them and staff in July, anticipating we'll have new staff members on board. So that meeting will take place with staff in July. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Manager Darian. Anyone have any questions here?
Just two quick ones. If they don't sign the Vitex thing, what do we do?
Then we wouldn't be able to treat their property. We do have, I have been receiving inquiries from people who are interested in being added to the list. So if I have people that are interested, I'm swapping out those addresses for people that are and sign the waivers. So anyone that is interested, contact me or go online through TISPC's website, and that online form's there. But either way, you can sign up.
Okay, and then just real quick, we were, I think, under the new contract with trash pickup, they're having 2 big pickup things?
Yes.
Have those been scheduled yet?
No, the contract will take place once you approve the budget today, anticipating you will adopt the budget today.
So-
We will, I will then go to GFL, they will sign the contract that takes place effect July 1st, and then those 2 dates will be scheduled, one for the first one occurring in the fall, and then the second one will be for the following spring.
Thank you. That's it.
So just to be clear, on the reentry passes, you first have to go to hurricane preparedness and then scroll down and then click a link to fill out the form for the reentry pass.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and on the public information that we've been putting out on Facebook, we put the link there that takes them directly to that to help guide and be more efficient, but
Yeah, because
There's-
under residents, it doesn't say reentry pass, it says hurricane preparedness, just so people know. Okay.
yes.
Alderman Benson, did you have anything?
No, I just had a, no.
Okay. That brings us to our first open forum. Do we have anyone signed up?
Yes.
Manager?
Ken Wilkerson, 149 Seagull Lane. Oh, I'm sorry, Keith Wilkerson. I apologize. You press
Could-
the red button.
Can you hit the button and then, for the record, give us your name and address, please?
Sure.
Thanks,
Keith
Keith.
Wilkerson, 149 Seagull Lane in North I was just going to approach the committee about hurricanes, which we were talking about. After Florence hit, we were pretty new there. We've only been here a couple of years, but it was impossible to get contractors, as we all know, and everybody was going crazy. And we attracted every thief in the world came in here, every con man, everything else. And I mean, we had a dance box like everybody else did, but we ended up having to call about like a year later because they had guaranteed our roof and everything, and it was impossible to find it. The guy said, "Oh, that doesn't exist anymore, that company." I said, "It was you. I'm talking to you." He goes, "Well, now I'm known as this," and so that's a common thing from what I hear. They all go back there. They rip people off the switch. They're abolish the LLC and start over. So I thought maybe we could have some kind of way to ensure that the people are not ripped up by not ensure, but help it. I'm sorry, I have trouble with speech. To help. To help keep track of who these people are, these guys. Maybe they have to come in and give their, well, this is, so-and-so's construction, and we reach at this, and this is my license, this is my, some kind of thing like that. And, I'd make them pay. They're going to make a fortune over here. They get paid $1,500 or whatever just to pay for the program. But at least we'd have somebody, if next year, someone says, "Oh, that guy ripped off 3 or 4 people." Well, we can look around and say, "Hey, well, he's in business down here, and he's got a license and all that, insurance and all that sort of thing." A lot of these people aren't insured, and they just come in here and, they do they take $10,000, they do $5,000 of work, and we never see them again. So I just thought maybe we could consider something like that, just to safeguard. All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Keith. Anyone else, Alice?
No.
Anyone from the audience want to come up and speak at open forum? Going once, going twice, gone. All right, moving on to consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the removal of items A and item F? Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Okay. Brings us to continuing business. Item A, fiscal year 25-26
That was the last meeting.
budget ordinance and fee schedule. Manager Darian.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. The fiscal year 25-26 budget ordinance and fee schedule has been attached to the agenda package for everyone's review. We held the public hearing at the last Board of Aldermen meeting in May. If there are any questions at this time, I will,
Just
I
one-
or Deborah will
That's right. Just
answer
one-
those.
One real quick comment, and I think we talked about this at the last one. Approving the budget does not approve the expenditure of specific
Correct.
items, so we're all in agreement with that. Other than I have no other comments.
Budget is a forecast. Anyone else have any questions for the manager or for Deborah on the budget?
I don't have any questions, Mayor, but
Okay.
I would just like to commend everyone that worked together to put the budget together. I think it's a budget we can be really proud of. When I first came here as alderman, over 8 years, almost 8 years ago, excuse me, our budget was around, general fund budget was around $5 million. Okay, in those 7.5 years, it's almost doubled because of the desirability of North Topsail Beach as a tourist destination. So it's something we can be pleased with, and we are using your funds, taxpayer funds and other revenues, to keep this a desirable beach destination in North Carolina. So congratulations, Manager Dury.
I wanted to thank you for that, because when you see the presentation, I'm gonna make it a little bit, we'll make that point with numbers.
Well, I would just like to add, before we move on, that North Topsail Beach is not, we're not increasing taxes this year. Surf City's increasing taxes. The county's increasing taxes. I think Topsail Beach is also increasing taxes, as is Holly Ridge. So we are not increasing taxes this year. Do we have anything else, or are we ready to?
Motion approved.
No.
Yeah, I think
You've-
that's where we are.
You've got the script there to follow.
Okay, do I have a motion
Motion to approve.
to approve the budget?
Second.
Discussion?
You need to, if you could read what's outlined there, that includes the fee schedule and the associated documents.
Okay. So the motion is to adopt the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget ordinance, fee schedule, and associated documents. That was what and we've already had the motion and the second. So is there any further discussion on the issue? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. The next item of continuing business is ordinance number 2025-25.25, the town manager's contracting authority, and that is to the attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. You all have had a history of putting in the budget ordinance every year, your manager's contract authority. There was discussion, rather than have it tied to the budget every year, just to have a separate ordinance so that the contract authority can span throughout. So the ordinance presented in the agenda packet is the exact same authority that you have delegated to your manager of entering into contracts that are $40,000 or less, and then clarifying per vendor, per contract. And so it's just memorializing the current state of how you all do things.
And we don't need, all we have to do is just approve this by motion and we're done?
That's correct.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Okay, I don't agree with this. I just said over the past 8 years, our budget has grown from 5 million to 10 million. Since that time, the cost of goods and services have gone up dramatically, particularly since COVID. A lot more expensive. Housing is a lot more expensive, so it costs a lot more to get things done with contracts now. It only makes sense that we need to increase the amount of the manager's contract limit to account for the current cost of doing business in town. So our financial consulting service recommended that we move this limit up to $100,000. But I think maybe as a compromise, we could increase the limit to, say, $75,000 per contract. I think this would be a good compromise, and it would better reflect doing business in the current business environment that we have North Topsail Beach and in North Carolina. So I would like to amend the ordinance to change 40 to 75.
I know there's going to be discussion on this, so we'll start all the way down at the end here. When Rick is finished, if you have something, then I'll.
Yeah, I fundamentally disagree with that. I think that we have now written this thing up. We can change the ordinance in the future. What this does is it gives her the right, without board approval, to enter into contracts. Okay, the protocol now has always been, talking to the town manager, that every contract comes to us. This gives her the authority to enter into a contract for less than $40,000 with a vendor without board approval. It's a control issue. The bigger this number is, the less control you have. And so no, I fundamentally don't. I think 40,000 is fine. You can change the ordinance in the future if we find out there's a barrier to this. But with the current protocol, I don't see any reason to move this above 40.
Laura?
I don't agree with moving the number higher. We need to look at our accounting controls, and without a finance director on board, I'm comfortable with 40 and under. I am not comfortable with going any higher.
The original amount was 30, correct? Was that what it was until now?
No, it's 40.
It's always been 40? Okay. I see both sides of this. I see that, actually, there are three sides to it. The first side is it's always been 40. The second side is that things do cost more money, and I don't know how far back the 40 goes in terms of when that was established timeline-wise. The third thing is it's not really how we do business. Okay, how we've done business all along is we have a very conscientious manager who brings everything to the board and makes sure that the board is aware of what her intentions are and the manner in which we are doing business is not reflective of this document. That said, I think we still need to have something like this in place. But that brings us to a dilemma, because I'd like to see it higher, which makes 2, and there's 2 that don't. Since I'm the new kid on the block in this seat, what do?
I suggest we table it till July and we have a full board here. That's what I would suggest.
I fundamentally disagree with that for one reason, is that if we table it for a month, then she has no authority to do anything.
I will not be able to,
Okay, if you can,
approve
we can
anything.
approve it today at 40, okay, and then you can bring it up in the next meeting when there's more people here. But if we don't approve it today, then she has no authority, which I'm not in favor of.
I would suggest that you approve it at 40 and you can discuss further if need be.
Okay, that's what we will do. We will go ahead, and do I have a motion to approve at 40?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Clerk or manager, call the roll.
Alderman Benson?
No?
Alderman Olszewski?
Yes.
Alderman Grant?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Leonard?
Yes.
3 yes, 1 no.
Right, and then just to point out something else, Tom, I think that you mentioned the last one is, and actually Laura did too, is since it's not in the budget, we can do an ordinance anytime we
Correct.
want. And that's a key
Correct.
difference in having it out of the
Out of the
budget.
And what we'll do is hopefully with a full board next month, we'll look at potentially revisiting this with a full board, and everybody gets a say, everybody gets a vote. Okay.
You might want to pause the meeting for 5 minutes, take a break.
Okay, Alderman Benson has a family emergency he needs to check on right now. We're gonna recess the meeting for 10 minutes.
Motion to recess for 10 minutes?
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Going to now resume the meeting. We don't need like a motion or anything, right? We just go.
Because you did a motion to recess, I would just do a motion to reconvene.
Need a motion to reconvene?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. All right. Next on the continuing business agenda is item C, audit request for proposal, evaluation, and recommendation resolution 2025-04.
You want a motion to approve?
Specific action requested. May I ask for a motion to approve a resolution awarding the audit contract to AAPG LLC, authorizing the Mayor Pro Tem and Interim Finance Officer to execute the contract, as well as authorizing the town manager to transfer funds necessary from contingency to the governing body FY26 budget.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Anyone?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up is my congressional subcommittee testimony. I want to give a report on that. I was up on the 20th of last month and spoke in front of the subcommittee on water, wildlife, and fisheries for 5 minutes on our Cobra bill that Congressman Murphy filed for us, and Congressman Rouser was a co-sponsor. Gave my testimony. You have 5 minutes. I used every bit of them, and they have a countdown clock, and was done right at 5 minutes. I got some questions from the chairman of the committee and some questions from the ranking member of the committee, and I think overall it went really well. The next step is going to be for the subcommittee to vote whether or not to approve to move it forward to the full Natural Resources Committee. We've danced this dance before a couple years ago. I would expect that the bill will advance to the full committee based upon being voted on. Just as if the vote goes by party lines, there's 2 more Republicans on the subcommittee than there are Democrats, so it should go. Then it will go to the full committee. They will decide what to do with it, but it will ultimately hopefully find its way to the House floor, either as part of a bundle of Cobra bills or a separate bill. When it got to the full committee in the last session, there were questions about how we would actually determine what properties would be removed from Cobra, and they drove us towards more specificity with regard to that issue. And the specificity would be to the extent that any properties that were affected that were not in a conservation, any residential or commercial properties that were not in conservation land would be removed. So we've now given them the language that they want to push it forward. What's on the screen is Channel 12 managed to pick up the whole thing. There's a link on there also to the YouTube for the testimony. There's also a way to follow the progress of the bill through congress.gov. If you type in HR 1885, it will bring you up to congress.gov's page, and you can follow along the progress of the bill. That's all I have for that, barring any questions.
We certainly appreciate you doing that on behalf of the town, Mayor Pro Tem. Isn't there also an effort to get support in the Senate to get that moving through both houses of Congress so that it doesn't languish like it did last year?
Yes, we ran out of time last year on the House side, and the Senate composition last session was such that it probably wouldn't have gone favorably for us anyway. That's different this year. Both our senators' staffs are working on a companion bill, and both the staffs are working with each other on a companion bill that would be sponsored by both of them eventually. So it's good news. I'm in touch with these folks in the senators' offices. I'm in touch with the legislative assistant who's over the meetings and the progress on the Natural Resources Committee, and the Water, Wildlife, and Fisheries Subcommittee. I spoke to someone last week trying to figure out when they're going to move this thing forward. It's going to be sometime this summer. They're still trying to work on their scheduling. So yes, there is movement on the Senate side. Anything else? Okay, that concludes that item. The next item in continuing business be the minutes from last month's Board of Aldermen May meeting. Like I said earlier, I would like to just simply add the hard copy to the minutes of the presentation that was given documenting the managers and my trip up to Washington. I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that brings us to new business, our beach, what?
Right. You got F still, right? Or is that
Yeah,
under
I would-
continuing? Or is that new?
New
Okay.
business.
Okay, that,
Item F.
I thought F was
Gonna
gonna,
be-
I thought F was going under new business.
I think it has to, doesn't it?
Yeah,
'Cause
so,
it's completely new, so
So-
it would be C.
You're- Yeah,
That's-
we're moving on to new business now, so that would be the first item that you would address under new business.
okay, I was gonna put it last, but we can put it first. Okay, so, the new business item A now is WB Brawley Construction Change Directive -01 updated. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item B, new business, beach financial update, Alderman Grant.
Yep. Ricky, could you put up, not mine, put up the other one first? You find it? Yeah, it's full. Okay. This is a reminder, so go ahead next. Back in 2000, it's amazing, this is only 3 years ago, to Mike's earlier point, we were faced with and the gentleman was talking about Florence and everything else, where were we at as a town? And people forget that every one of these beach projects is a reimbursement project. The town did not have the money or the financial structures to pay for anything that we're gonna be doing going forward. And so when I get into my presentation, you'll see this, but this is the background. And this is on the website. We can actually attach this afterwards, but this is a presentation that was done by the Carters back at that time to tell us how to get out of some things that we had. And people forget the 2015 SOBS, which is the Beach Nourishment Program for Phase 5. All right, we still had $14.5 million outstanding on that loan. And we also found out as we were going through this process that there was a side agreement that no beach projects could be done in the town until that $14.5 million was paid off, which means we could not have done basically any of the projects that we've been doing now. So go ahead, Rick, next one. So, and again, I'm not going to spend any time on this. This is a refresher in terms of putting in these special obligation bonds, putting in the financing, putting the money aside to make sure that we didn't have a situation. In my recollection, and Tom, you and Mike were here, with Florence, one of the reasons it took so much time to get the FEMA stuff in place is everything is a reimbursement, meaning you had to have the money up front before you could even do the FEMA projects. And so we didn't have financing in place for any of those type of things. So, and then we'll talk about the SOBs in a minute. Go ahead, Rick. You can keep going through this. I would just have people look at this, just a reminder of where we were in 2022. Go ahead, Rick. And this is also a very important one. This is actually Carter's slide, but it actually misrepresents. It talks about at the bottom one how much we saved in interest, and it says 1.125 million. That's only for that 5-year period. The actual interest that we saved was well over $5 million during that period of time by refinancing it at, and people would love this right now. We refinanced at 2.25% and took out the rest of that beach loan. And it allows us, I think we just made, and Deborah can tell me, we just made our second last payment on that one, correct? And we've got one next year and then it's paid off.
Okay, correct.
All right, so at the end of that, we have taken care of that entire loan and we'll have done it at 2.25% with a huge multi-million-dollar savings in interest. Go ahead, Rick. So what he's saying is this is from the Carters. And basically what he did is we put in these special obligation bonds to allow us to do FEMA work when it came in, to be able to borrow. And what was beautiful about this, for the people that were here, is the collateral for the loans to do the FEMA projects was actually the FEMA reimbursement and not the town's assets. So you basically had the security was reimbursement. And as everybody knows, that takes a lot of time. Now, Rick, you can go to my slide presentation. I would have people look back, and that's just kind of a refresher from where we were only 3 years ago. So what have we done since 22? The goals that the board did at that time is we decided we were going to build and maintain an engineered beach. And I think we've beat that to death. The difference between an engineered beach and a non-engineered beach, one is you can get the, under FEMA, they'll redo the dunes. Under engineered beach, they'll do the beach and the dunes, which is huge for us. But we also had to provide necessary funding, including NTB and third party, and all projects require some type of funding on our part. Go ahead, Rick. The restrictions that we had, lack of financial capability, which we didn't know how to have back then. We didn't have the funds available. And frankly, we hadn't done any planning or budgeting. And Mike, that was true on the capital side too, which we changed as well, to your point. Again, third-party projects are reimbursement. And I think we know from the package we got, we still are owed money from FEMA. Actually, it's a state withholding from projects like that. So if you don't have the cash up front, you can't do the projects. So we basically need to pre-fund the projects. We also didn't have the expertise on board. The Carters were our financial experts, and we hired Chris Gibson to look at the beach. Because as Mike finally convinced me, people come to there to have our beaches and to maintain them. And one of the things that Chris told us in those meetings, in the BISAC meetings, are you got to be prepared to spend money every year on your beaches. You've got to be willing to stay ahead of it, because even if a FEMA comes in, and even if we have an engineered beach, they only put back what was there that year. So if you don't maintain the beach and you lose 20% of the sand, they don't put back the 20%. They just put back what was there. And then also the phase 5, the 30-year USDA loan, prohibited beach projects. The other thing we found out from the LGC, and I think that the interesting part of this is it's tied in by coincidence to our town manager who happened to be there when all this stuff was put in. That was sarcasm in case anybody missed it. But you were the leader on this thing. We also found out from the LGC that there's no way they were ever going to do a loan like that again. They believed that the town was going to pay it off much more quickly. They believed that we should, I think it was 5 or 6 years would be the maximum loans you could get, something like that, Alice, because their view was the sand ain't going to be there for 20 years. So that's the minimum. And so to get rid of all this stuff and to clean it up are the steps that we took. Go ahead, Rick. First step, we hired the expertise. We got the Carters and Gibson. For those of you that don't know, and you've heard me say it 1,000 times, Chris is was the beach engineer for Topsail. And so if you want to see what we're doing, and my recollection is I think they spent $35 million like that, Mike, and the town only put up 3. And so the whole idea was to use third-party money, understanding we might have to do matches. We also had to get this board to make the commitment to say, hey, we're going to have to put money in the beaches. We're going to have to put money aside. We got to start planning. We formed BISAC. We allocated funds in the budget, and if you go back and look at the last couple of years' budgets, you will see that money has been put into the beach fund every year, and I'll get to those numbers. And also to understand the obligations and restrictions that we had, and obviously clearing up that USDA loan was one of the first steps. Go ahead, Rick. All right, we had more than 14 million hanging out there, 20-year amortization at 3.25, and the side commitment, no beach projects. And also, interesting enough, that also required us to have $5 million set aside. So when you put money into the beach fund, you had to actually hold $5 million against that loan until it was paid off. So now we're not getting interest on $5 million we're holding and paying interest on it with some bad business. No previous planning or set aside to fund the beach projects. The money is not there. And again, all those projects are reimbursements. So we were without the funds of the borrowing structure. Go ahead, Rick. What do we do? And again, this goes back to the Carter presentation. We refinanced the loan, saved millions in interest, eliminated the new project restrictions, created the SOBs for refinancing the USDA loan and for the FEMA projects. And also we decided to build funds for future projects. One of the things that we decided as a board at that time, both on the capital side and the beach side, is you can't borrow money for everything. You got to put money down, no different than if you buy a house. And so we had to have the money, especially with these being reimbursement projects, and a lot of them were matching projects, where you might get $3 for every dollar, but you had to come up with your own dollar. Go ahead, Rick. What's been done? Beach Committee in '22 hired Gibson. He's developed the basis for a 3-year beach plan, and we have a BISAC meeting on the 17th, Mike. He's going to give us an update, utilize third-party funding, and actually utilize his expertise. He and Alex worked on this. The $10.5 million state grant for Phase 4, Terry, figured out a way to use the FEMA project in Phase 5 as the match. This was supposed to be a 1-to-1 match. In other words, for us to get $10.5 million, meant we had to put up $10.5 million of our own money, and we used the FEMA as the match. And so this came to us. And the good news on this one is we didn't even have to pre-fund it because they sent us the checks up early. The other thing is we built a relationship with Onslow County. Go ahead, Rick. Phase 5 work is done. Phase 4 work is done. 1, 2, and 3, we did approve funding to file for and receive the permits. That's underway. And upon receipt of the permits, we're still hoping the construction is going to begin fall of this year, spring of next year, work completed by '26. The other one to think about too is several months ago, we had the issue up, I think it's Marina Way mostly, where the dunes were gone. And we were able, 3 years ago, this board actually to authorize, $2.5 million, give or take, to rebuild those crossovers and those dunes up there. 3 years ago, we didn't have the money to do it. Now, we're hoping we'll get FEMA reimbursement on that, but now we're in a position where the town can take action to get the things fixed that we need to get. Anybody that went up to Marina Way, when I went up there, you could walk straight from the road into the beach. There was no dunes there at all. So go ahead. Funding, 24-25 budget, 4.4 in there, 1.9 for the USDA loan, and 1.2 for future projects. The current budget, which I hope these are still the numbers, we're putting 5.3 million in. Biggest loan is we're taking care of the SOB payment, and I think it'll be the second SOB payment is in there, but that is for the FEMA money, not the other one. And then we put aside another close to $500,000 in future projects. One thing that people don't understand is the occupation taxes, which are the rental money, 100% of that is going into the beach. We also put 10 cents of our give or take 40 cents, or 22% of collections go in there. And also, Onslow County has been committed to giving us about $150,000 a year for the beach projects as well, and that's in addition to the $500,000 fire tax that we're getting from them. And parking money is smaller, but these are the big numbers going in. Go ahead, Rick. Future plans, 30-year plan calls for continuous monitoring and maintaining our beaches after the initial engineered beach work. Funding will occur from both our revenues and federal and state funds. The whole idea behind this and Chris's plan that was executed up in Topsail is find multiples. For every dollar we've got, if we can find 2 or 3 of somebody else's money to use, that's the plan. And also to make sure that we designate monies for the beach every year in our budget so that, whether it's, knock on wood, not a hurricane, but just regular beach work, that we've got the money put aside to do those type of things. I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, questions from the board? All right, thanks, Rick.
I went through that very quickly, so if anybody has questions, you can email me.
This brings us to our second session of open forum. Do we have anyone? Oh,
That's because we thought mine was going to be.
yes, I'm sorry. Okay. Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. Is Planning Director Deb Hill. You're up.
There we go. Good morning, everyone. Following the Hurricane Florence and major disaster declaration signed in 2018, FEMA authorized the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, funding for long risk reduction efforts. Notified property owners in late 2019 about the potential FEMA assistance, including elevation, acquisition, or reconstruction of flood damaged homes. Out of all the applicants, only one property, which is owner-occupied, qualified through FEMA's cost-benefit analysis and has remained interested in elevation assistance. However, after 2023 inspection found structural issues, the project was changed to mitigation and reconstruction. By April 2024, FEMA approved the change in scope. Throughout 2024, legal and administrative steps progressed, including finalizing the invitation for bids and a request for proposal officially posted in October 2024 for the property. By January 2025, a contractor was selected, but the bid exceeded the expected budget, prompting the state to request and receive additional FEMA funding. The contractor has committed to complete the project by March of 2026. An updated designated agent resolution, Attachment 1, appointing the town manager as primary agent and reappointing myself as secondary agent is required. Attachment 2 is the original resolution approved in September 2019 by the Board of Aldermen. If approved, Ms. Darien will be asked to execute the updated MOA, which is Attachment 3 with the state, allowing North Carolina Emergency Management Department of Public Safety to administer the project through the state-centric program on the town's behalf. Attachment 4 is the original MOA executed in 2022. Also in Attachment 3 includes the budget adjustment from FEMA as well. Total budget cost for both FEMA and non-federal share is $372,959.28. Staff requests that the Board of Aldermen adopt the resolution of applicant's agent, which is included as Attachment 1 in the staff report.
So Deb, all funding is covered by FEMA and the state?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
There's a reimbursement for staff's admin time.
No, I'm sorry. Do we fund it and they reimburse it, or do they fund it on the front end?
No, this is one of the joys of, or benefits of turning it over to the state. During Florence, the state came up with a state-centric program, which allows small towns, small localities that would only have like 1 or 2 projects like we do, to allow the state to have a project manager through the Department of Public Safety that packs them up in a bundle, much like mortgages, and then puts that bundle out to bid, and it puts the state in a better position to negotiate with the contractor and to get a better price. If we were to do this on our own and just have one project, I am quite confident that the cost would be much larger.
Alderman Benson.
So I had one question just to clarify for everyone. The non-federal money is covered by the state, and the state-centric office or the state administrators will pay the day-to-day purchase orders that come in, billing that comes in from the contractor that was selected to do the project. So the town has nothing to do really with the financial aspects of this. We are just approving it as part of this process.
I will be working with the project manager in addressing any concerns, reviewing invoices, as soon as, presuming that the town readopts the resolution or adopts the resolution and we're able to execute the memorandum of agreement, then the state and the owner, contractor, and myself will have a project meeting. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution as stated.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Thank you all so very much for this.
That brings us now to open forum. Alice, do we have anyone signed up for the second?
Keith Wilkerson, 149 Seagull Lane.
So we wanted 6 minutes.
you don't show up for months and months
I
and months, and
know.
then you have to talk twice,
I
right?
talked to her.
Okay.
First off, I want to say, Tom, I appreciate all your hard work. I've been following that down in Washington, and I appreciate all your.
Thank you.
I know you're not the only one, but you're the main guy doing it. I know it's been a lot of work. I heard the discussion on the financial company, and I was wondering why, how much it was, because that wasn't discussed. And I wondered why we didn't have someone on staff that does that. I don't speak with any particular expertise, but I am familiar with budgets. I was a police commander up in North, and I ran our police department budget for a lot of years, and it was 10 to 12 million, so it wasn't big. And I know there's a lot of, things involved, but I was wondering, why, how much is that contract? Does anybody know? Are we sharing that information?
Well, we're not supposed to answer questions. This is supposed to be a one way, but
Oh,
we can
okay.
get back to you. We can
All
get
right,
back to you
okay,
with
all right.
that.
I mean, the average financial officer makes like $82,000 a year. And
Right.
I just want to, I imagine it's bigger than that. But that was sent out for
It's on the
contracts or anything?
agenda.
I just was wondering why we're doing it that way. Well,
It's on the agenda, and we have them. It's on the agenda for discussion.
It's actually on the agenda for discussion. We haven't made a decision yet.
Okay,
We are
okay.
we're in the process of interviewing and we have
Oh, great, great.
we have vacancy we're trying to fill upstairs in the finance department.
Okay,
And we're trying,
All right,
But-
good.
we can talk more about that during
Thank you very much.
Alderman's report. Thanks. Anyone else signed up?
No.
Anyone from the audience wants to come up? Open forum? Last chance. Going once, going twice. Okay. Moving on to the attorney's report.
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Moving on to the Mayor Pro Tem report. I appreciate everybody coming out, bearing with me here. The trip to Washington, I think, went well. We're going to stay on top of that the best we can. Try to get this COBRA thing put to bed once and for all. Summer season is upon us, as we've seen. I think we had a little bit of a break from what we might normally have had for Memorial Day because the weather wasn't super great beach weather, but they're here, and we all just need to be safe. Moving on to the Alderman reports, we can start with Alderman Benson.
I really don't have anything to report other than just appreciate the interest of the audience in attending our meetings, and thank you for being here. Really, that's all I have to report this time.
Okay. Alderman Ochesky.
Just want to remind everybody about digging holes and leaving them. Some of us that walk along the beach have fallen into these holes before. It's not a fun feeling, coming thigh high into a hole and hoping that you didn't break something. So please make sure your guests and you all, when you're digging these deep holes, you're filling them in so that nobody jumps into one by accident. I got to attend the spring community event at Camp Lejeune. It was very nice. They bring in lots of the town aldermen, mayors, etc., and tell us what's going on at the base and allow us to get together with each other. So that was a very nice event. I do want to remind everybody this is an election year for us, and there will be board seats open here for the town of North Topsail Beach, as well as this will be a mayor election. So we want everyone who shows up all the time to think about running. Or if you don't want to run, talk to your neighbors, because I do know it's a participatory process and we need all of you to be involved. So I would like you all to think about throwing your name in the ring, as we say. All right, thank you, and have a great summer.
Alderman Grant.
Thanks for coming. On the county side, they are not going to raise their property taxes this year. They've made that decision, although they're still going through the process. And I think, as somebody alluded to before, I understand some of the other towns are. Interesting in there, right now, they've got a little over $1 million to work on their the facilities at their beach accesses. And I reminded them that the real money is on the other side, so keep giving us money. On the Onwassa side, we have tested I'm on the Onwassa board, we've tested this facility. So far, so good. So hopefully, we're not going to have any issues relating to pressure this year. And also, I think in the Onwassa budget, we're also putting money aside to think about building a water tower up in the north end on county property up there. Because I think anything you see here is just going to be a short-term answer. Other than that, thanks for coming.
I need a motion to go into closed session as per North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A, subparagraph 3. Now, do I need to turn this to you?
Yes, sir. Under the general statute, since we're talking about pending claims litigations, I have to list the names of the parties, CM Mitchell Construction Company. Thank you.
Okay. You have a motion?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There was no action taken in closed session. The last thing on the agenda, if I can find it, is a presentation from GWI regarding the contract. Let's see here. Contract consideration.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I believe this agenda item was for consideration of the FY 26 contract consideration with GWI. I believe, obviously, Ms. Deborah Mack is here and Ms. Beth Wood's here to answer any questions, or if they would like an opportunity to speak on the potential contractor scope of services, and then you all can have any discussion that you would like, or again, as take any kind of action or table the motion.
Okay. You have anything for us?
I'm gonna leave it up to you. I mean, we put the contract together.
We've submitted a contract for 7 months, starting in July 1, fiscal year 2026. And it's meant to help cover you until you can hire a finance officer. The 7 months is for the services we've been providing, which is the accounts payable, the bank reconciliations, which are moving along nicely. Still have a couple of department heads who don't want to follow our procedures for getting invoices paid, but our staff is not paying invoices until they are following procedures. So, and then there's still quite a bit of FEMA work to be done. Deborah Mack just tried to close a project within the last couple of days, fell into the fact that there's $2.1 million that was left on the table. She matched up what had been reimbursed versus what should have been reimbursed and found that there's $2.1 million. So it's still in older projects. This is back from fiscal year 22. And so in older projects, there's still work to be done. So again, this contract is based on continuing what we've been doing, which is to help close out the FEMA projects and move things forward with accounts payable, bank reconciliations, administration of grants, budget meetings, budget resolutions, budget amendments. And then we have proposed it through January, which would get you through the distribution of your 1099s. So that's why the 7-month contract. Knowing that very possibly you will hire somebody before then, but again, we're giving it the 7 months just to get you all the way through to the 1099. And then the thought is whoever you hire, that you may need Deborah Mack and Sylvia to train them. Do y'all have a copy of the contract?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because I was just going to talk about, again, there is a list of things that need to be done, some routine, the old FEMA projects, it's still untangling monies that have been charged to wrong funds still. Deborah Mack is running into that and then figuring out where it should be, can you get reimbursed for it? So there are things that take some research, and then there's some very routine things. But what we figured was the 1,240 hours, which is a 40-hour work week between now and January 31st at their rates of $150 for Deborah Mack and $120 for Sylvia per hour. So that's how the contract came about in the figure.
Okay, just a quick question for you. At the last meeting, if you remember, I asked you for, if you think about when somebody comes in and does an audit, they start with, we have audited the company's financial and there's the report. We still don't have a report from you that tells us what actually you've accomplished.
I have it with me.
I'm not talking about what you gave us last time,
I
which
have
is
it
just
with me.
numbers. It goes by issue, what you resolved.
The 12
everything
items
else.
that you asked for, I have it with me.
Perfect. And then the other question is too, and we're just looking at it, over the last 2 months, we've been billed about $12,000 a month per month to do accounts payable in your original contract. And remember, I asked you this when you were here last time. accounts payable, we ought to be able to do for a couple thousand a month. Do you anticipate it being $12,000 a month to do accounts payable?
I have asked Sylvia that same question.
Okay. I think that would be helpful to us because you had talked about things going down and things
Well,
being corrected.
The bank reconciliations have, and they've smoothed out. Again, you got to step back and look at how many invoices are having to be approved, how many invoices are having to be processed, how many times do you have to key them in. Some of the time that you saw had to do with issues of your software, and then some of it has to do with having to send stuff back. So I will get you a figure, but again, because I've asked Sylvia that same question, if you're going to process 20 invoices versus 100, obviously there's a difference there. And then I've asked if there's a duplication of effort anywhere that could be looked at and done differently.
Okay.
And so we will get into that for
Okay, perfect.
you.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, and she's doing 100 hours a month on accounts payable. Okay, and when I look at bank reconciliation, that's way down, and that's once a month. But I haven't seen the accounts payable hasn't gone down; it's gone up.
And I questioned that with her also. And again, I'm not sure the hours.
How often do we do check runs, Deborah?
Every week.
I don't know of another company that does that every week. I just talked to a friend of mine, who's the chief financial, actually today, for a very large company, they do it twice a month, which
And
would cut down a lot of that work too.
It possibly would, and I would ask Sylvia that question, because again, if it takes a certain amount of time to process 50 invoices and you do 100 at one time or 50 and 50, does it really cut down on the time? I'm not sure about that, given what it takes to process each invoice. So get it in more detail for you and the board, what's going on with that, and if there are any ways to cut back or things that could be done to streamline the AP, because you're right, the bank recs went down, the AP is not.
Any other questions from the board?
Yes. So when you're giving us that information around AP, I'd like to know on average how many checks per week we're cutting. Okay, thank you.
And I'm not sure I'm not sure how many you're paying through electronic payment and how much difference in work there might be if you're doing cutting a check versus electronic payment. So we'll pull all that together for you.
Yeah, because I didn't think we were doing e-pay for anybody right now. I didn't think our software allowed for that.
Currently, what's happening is you've had long-standing arrangements that you're letting certain vendors auto-draft your bank accounts. That's what's happening. So that's long-standing, and so then we have to turn around and try to reconcile that. But they just draft it right straight out of your account.
Okay. Let's take a look at it. The other thing,
Okay.
when you're talking to her, also I noticed that one of her billing statements said she printed out 60 invoices. Why are we, I don't know why, find out if we can scan stuff instead of printing stuff out. That's not a good use of, in my opinion.
I will do that.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board?
Table?
Okay, I need a motion.
I think we just do a motion to,
Motion to table.
do we need to do that?
Do we need a
So we
motion to table, or do we just,
Because I think this is a item on the agenda, I would do a motion to table to your next board meeting.
Okay,
And then
motion to
allow opportunity for Alice and myself to talk with Beth and Deborah to try to get that information for the board, put that
perfect.
together.
So moved.
Second?
any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. I think I need one more motion. Need a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.